¿Qué tal?
Are you feeling good about this week? Are you relaxed at all? Do you find yourself wanting to just chill by the lake and take in the birds?
Yeah, it's been a naturistic spring break, and I did some chillings by the lake, and I did intake
Do you
some
enjoy
nature,
the birds, the trees,
the happy little trees,
the happy
little
little trees,
the wonderful trees.
the wonderful? I wonder if I speak like this, the microphone will pick up. Will it pick up, Kimberly?
You can't call your life a mistake, you got to call it a happy accident. If only all of us could live the life of Bob Ross. Imagine being rich but never getting paid from your job. That's a Bob Ross trait. Those famous PBS shows never paid him. Where he made his money was off his hair. Yes, his fluffy afro puff was the branding mechanism that allowed him to sell ancillary products such as paint brushes, paints, and all types of painting supplies. Not to mention he toured America like a rapper. Basically teaching art classes to old ladies. Like a paint pimp. During his prison stint on that PBS special he produced 11,143 paintings, 3 per episode. Nowadays Bob Ross's paintings are worth about $12,000 to $15,000 on the low end. Did you know the Bob Ross can come in your ears with autonomous sensory meridian response? ASMR for the layman like Thompson. It's like a lyrical ambient. His soothing voice can put people to sleep. Robert Norman Ross, born October 29, 1942 in Daytona Beach, Florida, was an American painter, art instructor, and television host. He was the creator and host of The Joy of Painting, an instructional television program that aired from 1983 to 1994 on PBS in the United States, and also aired in Canada, Latin America, and Europe. Ross went from being a public television personality in the 1980s and 1990s to being an internet celebrity in the 21st century, becoming popular with fans on YouTube and many other websites after his death. By the time he died, Ross was seated atop a $15 million empire of books, videos, and art supplies.
And
From the
positive
start,
energy.
Bob's formula was simple: the soft-spoken Ross, in his trusty perm and nearly identical outfits, patiently demonstrated his technique in an attempt to make relatively accomplished landscape painters out of his hobbyist viewers. The esteem for Ross has grown in the years since his death. So has the business of Bob Ross Incorporated, which Ms. Annette Kowalski helps run. The privately owned company has about 20 employees in a warehouse in Chantilly, Virginia, where the sales and distribution of Bob Ross branded painting products and Bob Ross instructor certification are managed. While millennials are keeping the flame alive. If you listen close to any Bob Ross special you will find sexual advice. Painting was a metaphor for sex. Phraydoe, you should have more sex, you need to lose weight.
Calories, huh? Thanks, Kimberly. I appreciate your advice.
That's very nice.
That's kind of, when you do listen to Bob Ross speak, it is soothing. It is a little sexual. It's like,
matter. I'll use a tool.
listen to that.
Pull it through the paint, wiggling it.
Best.
Wiggle it.
See? Wiggle it.
Wiggle it.
Other side, pull it through, and wiggle it.
Wiggle it.
Yo, yes.
They say that a lot of his stuff is metaphoric. I mean,
I've never even thought about that.
have you ever heard of AMRS?
I mean, no, not at all.
It's
But Happy Trees, I had a shirt. My dog ate it, literally. That had the Happy Trees with Bob Ross on it. And I always thought that was just a metaphor for weed. But we're talking about metaphors for sex. I didn't even think of it that way. And he just pull it out, wiggle it, pull it out, wiggle it. Yeah.
He's talking about painting, but it's metaphoric. Like you can use it for life. You know what I mean? Like, did you know that Bob Ross spent the beginning part of his adult career as a drill sergeant?
Oh, in the Army?
In the Air Force.
The Air Force.
He literally used to yell at motherfuckers for like
Bob
his
Ross.
job.
At
Bob
what
Ross.
age?
Blah, 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 blah,
What
blah.
age?
He used to look more like this. This is Bob Ross before the fro.
What? So this guy was a drill sergeant?
This guy
Bob Ross was a drill sergeant.
in the Air Force.
Him?
Yes.
Yo.
It's crazy, right?
That is crazy.
In your face, make your bed, motherfucker. You got to, I'll punch you in, clean the damn toilet, boy. He went from that to, I think what you should do is make sure that the clouds and the trees are well cemented.
That's crazy. I didn't know that at all.
I mean, it's definitely good for the vocals.
I gotta say, that's awesome. That's the maybe the most shocking thing that I've learned
Why did he
throughout
go
all
to the
these
Afro?
little things or whatever. Why did he go to the Afro?
Because he's a businessman.
He's a businessman? Is that why?
Because he wanted to save money on haircuts. He knew that haircuts were expensive to get him done all the time. So in the process of building his career and branding himself, he went with the perm.
Now, is that he said that, or where are you getting that information from?
The research I did. So basically, he was born in Daytona Beach, all right? He grew up. That's where he got his inspiration from, a lot of his scenes and stuff. So he joined the military, and he went all the way up to Alaska. Poor little Florida boy. Imagine us going to live in Alaska right now. Okay?
Nope.
But some good came from it. You know, he was part of the Air Force.
Became an icon.
Right. He learned a lot of his, a lot of people that become successful after the military, usually they've applied some of the military structure, the discipline, the consistency, the fortitude to put something together and see it out to the end, the pride of it. I think that's what really bred. So that was one side of his mind. And the other side was that he really liked painting. So while he lived in Alaska, he would also part-time as a bartender. And at the bar, he would sell these little paintings of Alaska scenes
that he did,
and that was his little side gig, right? So before he became the Bob Ross we knew, he was inspired by this other guy named William Alexander. Now, I'm gonna be completely honest. I love Bob Ross, and he's a great American. He's Americano. You know what I mean? This guy is part of America. When you think of American painters, you might as well throw Bob Ross up there.
Yeah,
you know
for sure.
what I mean? But this motherfucker stole his style.
Right. I mean, but isn't all style stolen?
Yeah, but so this guy's William Alexander. This is a German. This is a German painter. He came up with the whole wet paint thing, right?
William Alexander.
Listen to his content though. Just watch the content. I get I was inspired by this thing, and then I create Kid Cudi. If it wasn't for Kid Cudi, right, there would be no Travis Scott, and there would be no Young Thugs, maybe like the singy, melodic, depressed shit. So yeah, all art inspires art. But when you straight copy shit, so this is William Alexander.
This beat is fire.
Happy summer day, and the happy birch trees on the happy road.
Trees happy.
So you take your family out for Sunday morning and wander to that beautiful flower field. And we will paint that up to smell the flowers. I have to hear the
same
birds.
shirt.
And the creative power, it's a different type of a power. Okay.
This is
no
blatant copy.
A depth there. A happy blue sky.
You would never know about this guy. If you didn't do the research like me, you would never know about this guy.
This is crazy shit, Beans. Let me tell you.
Look at the paint, the everything.
Okay, smaller.
Bob was blown away by.
Play a little more. Play a little more.
No, you girls, you will like me. Isn't that fantastic? And leave it uneven. That's the birch tree is uneven. And if you want to pull it back, you can go the other way around and pull the black forwards again. It can be reversed. If you feel you have too much, then I pull it back. That's like rubber that paint, and you have it done.
It's the same. It's the same exact thing.
Yeah, Bob Ross sounds better.
Minus the voice. Yeah, the voice.
Bob Ross sounds better.
It's
almost like listening to Quentin Miller's reference tracks for Drake.
You know what it is? You ever heard of those? And is this what you said earlier? The thing where you don't know why, but it sounds good. ASMR or whatever.
Yeah.
Is that what you said earlier?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Well, ASMR is these soundtracks and stuff that people use to sleep. So they consider Bob Ross's voice an ASMR sample.
Yes.
This guy really doesn't have I
No,
don't think you
his
can
is
sleep
rough.
to William Alexander.
It's rough.
But
he has
that's what I'm
Germans
saying.
have a rough language.
Quentin Miller dropped them tracks and got the flow and the words together, but you can't deliver it like Drake. Bob Ross is the Drake
Bob Ross's Drake
of water paint, water oil paint. For real.
You had to make it rhyme. Drake of water paint.
They got the same Afro aesthetics. So forget about William Alexander. I guess he's not that important.
Nah, man, he's the OG, triple OG. He
was.
Didn't have the voice.
What's crazy is that Bob started working for.
Yo, he was born in 42.
Yeah, right. And he died on July 4th. How American is that?
That is the year of Pearl Harbor, right? 41, 42, 42? I don't know.
No. He died on July 4th of 95.
Oh, okay.
But was he born on Pearl Harbor? Is that what you're saying?
No, it is.
No, he was born on 29.
But at the year, I think it was 41.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Never mind. It's patriotic.
History facts.
Facts.
So Bob Ross was watching because Alexander was also on public access. So he got inspired. Wow. So he started working for Alexander. Mm-hmm. And Alexander was getting old, so he would send Bob to do his classes. Because the whole infrastructure here is we're going to...
Oh, so he was a sensei.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But like
so
idols,
steal him.
Idols become rivals, bro.
Nah, he didn't steal his style.
Nah, they had a Biggie and Tupac beef.
He was giving his style.
They had a Biggie and Tupac beef.
Nah, but
Tupac put Biggie on.
Yeah, but he didn't give him his style.
I gave him a lot of influence.
Yeah, but he gave him his style. He gave it to him.
He gave
accepted
him
and kept
the
it
paint style, but he didn't give him the Bob Ross,
the swag, big
Afro puff kind of guy. You know what I mean? Like that's where Bob Ross took it to the next level. Let me explain to you why.
Robert Norman
this guy
Ross.
Alexander had a huge fan base of little old white bitches all around the United States.
Why they gotta be little old white bitches? Why they can't
little
just be
old
like
white sexy things?
How about
cougar things?
How about
little kitty cats?
He had like
Perlin Asian cats.
He had like a bunch of women that liked him.
Okay, whatever. A fan base.
He
had groupies. The man had groupies.
Groupies, I guess, is okay word. I think.
Stroking the paintbrush.
Pull it out and wiggle it. Pull it out and wiggle it.
So there's this lady, Annette Kowalski, right?
Yo,
she's a big
excellent
fan.
Pronunciation, probably.
What?
I don't know of that name.
Kowalski?
Yeah, I'm assuming it's the right pronunciation. I'm trying to give you props for that.
Kimberly said it earlier.
Yeah. Good job.
Yeah. So at the same time that Bob Ross is getting inspired by Will Alexander, he goes and starts to work. And also there's this older lady, Annette, right?
Okay.
Annette's from Virginia.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Annette lost her son into a horrific car.
So where is Bob Ross at this point?
He's traveling. He just left the military. His wife said, look, here's $1,000. Go follow your paint dream, Bob. And Bob said, Jane, yes, I'm going to go do that. I'm going to go work for Bill. He worked under Bill. Mr. Alexander made Bob one of the head painters. So while Mr. Alexander was getting older, he would send Bob out to do these classes because the whole infrastructure is we're going to promote ourselves on PBS, which I'm not getting. When you're on public access, you don't get paid.
Right.
So, but you can build an audience that way. Mm-hmm. So once they build an audience, they go from city to city and they do art classes. And in the art classes, they sell paintbrushes and paints and, tools to get the old vagina wet. You know what I mean? Paint oils and stuff. Yeah. This is like, I'm gonna explain to you why this, I think low key, they weren't really selling paint. I think Bob Ross was really like a pimp. Let me explain to you. I mean, look at the perm, look at the style. It was a whole entire ploy to pull you in.
Yeah, so he's
yeah.
He's the Drake of paint, and he's also pulling like actual women throughout all of these cities.
Yeah,
and putting them on the street.
Yep.
Instead of actually teaching painting.
This is where Drake got his flow and inspiration from.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So Bob Ross fathered Drake's style.
For real. I mean, to steal something, ghostwrite it and make it better, and then to appeal to the ladies and tour the Americas. Yeah. So it gets deeper, man.
Yo, does it?
Let me digress.
I don't know. Let me digress. Allow me to digress. I don't know. This sounds all so crazy though.
I mean, would it be anything less? He's from Florida. He's a Florida man at the end of the day.
He's from Daytona.
He's a Florida man.
Known for the illicit activity of the night walking women's. I think the quote was, and I might be wrong, but I think the quote was, "I am tired of arresting these prostitutes." I was watching
What, from Daytona?
yeah, like a cop or something, or like a sheriff. He was out there.
Wow,
He was
what a
like,
slogan.
"I
That's
am
a city slogan.
tired of arresting all these prostitutes." It's like we are constantly arresting prostitutes. Is how it goes. It just kept going and going.
You
and
would
going.
think we would figure out something new. Like, this is the oldest trade. People have been selling pussy since like before AD, before the calendar was even established.
Was it the first thing sold in life?
Maybe.
I don't know.
It was traded for sure.
It does. It does.
Bob Ross was on the hunt for it. That's for goddamn sure.
I mean, imagine if it's legal. My mom used to tell me that she worked at a bank, or her sister-in-law worked at a bank, where they would come in. The women would come in. This is in Germany, with their earnings or whatever.
Yeah,
because it was legalized.
Yeah, they have a red light district out there,
and it's just all good, you know.
If sex wasn't so
Bro,
taboo in America,
that was
we would.
30 years ago. She told me that.
It's people are gonna sell their pussy and their ass and their mouth. It's gonna happen. These are commodities, Thompson.
Well, okay, and hands.
Yeah, I mean, hands is a cool thing. That's what Robert Kraft is getting arrested for. Hands.
This
How are you
part.
gonna give soliciting prostitution for using a hand? You get with a back rub or something. Anyway, so
Hey, if it's against the law, it's against the law, right?
So, Bobby was still in Willie style, okay? Bobby started touring, okay? So this
And when
lady,
you say touring, what does that mean? Like every state in America,
he
or
goes to
like up
different
and down the
cities
East Coast?
that the PBS special was picked up, and he basically teaches Alexander's fans how to paint. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He's the the head instructor.
All right.
So at the same time, this lady, Annette, has lost her son in Virginia. She's a well-to-do lady.
Uh-huh.
She's kind of depressed. And her husband was like, "What can I do for you, darling? Like, what would make you happy?" She's like, "I want to take a Bill Alexander class in Florida, because Florida's the closest place that I can go to take a Bill Alexander." And she was a paint enthusiast, so she wanted to take a class and, find something to pursue a passion, because poor thing just lost her son. You know what I mean?
Where is she from?
Virginia.
All right.
Most old ladies come from Virginia. It just feels like they just flock from Virginia.
Okay.
Anyway,
Virginia Beach.
it's just like a zip code of old people. But anyway,
Right.
just like Florida. So she comes down to Florida, or before she comes down to Florida, she pays for the class, and then she gets a summons from the class to say, "Hey, Bill Alexander's not going to be there because of his health, but we're going to have a substitute painter that's incredible. His name is Bob Ross." So she instantly is depressed again. She's like, "Bob, who the fuck is Bob Ross? I'm going to go see Bob Ross. I wanted Bill Alexander. Bob Ross is not going to be able to, teach me about clouds and trees and stuff. Like, he's not that good." So her husband's like, "Honey, you already paid for the class. Like, just go." So Annette jumps in that fucking 2-door coupe that she probably owns, right? Maybe it's a 4-door sedan, but it's nice. She cruises down to Florida, and the first class goes off amazingly. She's blown away with Bob Ross's charisma, his AMSR. Her ears was getting cummed in. Visually getting stimulated by these sceneries and these like birds. And Bob Ross never painted people. He only painted sceneries. He was against painting people.
How come?
Nobody really knows. He didn't like get into it too far.
It's like, I won't do it.
He was just like not about that life.
I don't.
So
Do it.
So this is Annette, okay? Now, I want to give you context to the story, all right?
What do you mean this is Annette?
This is about to introduce Annette to the story. Annette is the reason why we know Bob Ross. If it wasn't for Annette, Bob Ross would just be Bill's bitch.
Okay.
Just be this little painter bitch.
So what go, yeah.
Okay? So I'm going to play this little clip. Now, the context of, remember, Bob Ross is a paint pimp, okay? He's not a painter.
I'm not
He's a
saying
paint
that. I'm
pimp.
not saying that.
And that's how he built his fortune.
That's not what I'm saying.
Well, you didn't see the story yet.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Alaska for about a dozen years.
Listen to that AMSRS.
Yeah, it's so good.
AMRSRS.
Absolutely gorgeous.
That breathtaking scenery would serve as his inspiration for the rest of his life and would eventually become Bob's signature subject. He took that $1,000 and set out to try and spread the joy of painting.
Remember I told you about that $1,000 that his wife gave him? Look how he pimps. Watch how he turns
Bob
that
was teaching Bill
$1,000.
Alexander classes all over the country. He happened to land one in his native state of Florida. And that's how he met Annette Kowalski in one of his painting workshops. And Bob's life would never be the same.
I had just lost a child and was still in mourning. My husband would have done anything to pacify me and make me happy. So he said, okay, I'll drive you to Florida, which is the only place you can take a Bill Alexander class. So I called the Alexander Company in Oregon, and they said, yes, we have some classes in February. Unfortunately, Bill Alexander has retired. And there's this guy named Bob Ross who's teaching his classes. And I was so unhappy.
Annette enrolled in a seminar that was 5 full days of painting.
During that 5 days, I became aware of an effect that Bob was having on these
The pimp.
students.
The pimp game.
Very calming effect, very quiet. I had never seen anything like it. I was mesmerized by him.
Play that.
Insisting that there was some
It's her
something
husband.
there that had to
Right
be
next to her.
packaged or
That's
bottled.
awkward.
And that's what I was hearing.
Never have I ever
Dinner.
felt so
That
at
was the
ease
driving
and
force.
calm
So the last day that we were in
than when I was
Florida,
around
Friday night,
Bob Ross.
The pimp game is strong.
He's like, yeah, it's crazy,
I
right?
lost my son. Now I'm about to lose my wife.
Oh my god.
we went to a local hamburger joint and we invited Bob.
Allegedly, if the Kowalskis see this, I love you guys. I don't have an attorney, just know you.
To join us. And he agreed. And I said to Bob, I sure wish you would come to Washington, D.C. and teach a class.
I thought she's from
So he
Virginia.
said,
Why's she
okay.
going to DC?
Because that's probably like the major metropolis that she
Okay.
can get more people. You know what I mean? She probably lives Virginia, Maryland.
Yeah, that's right
same
there.
place.
Okay, I'll do that.
So Bob quit working for the Alexander Magic Company and formed a partnership with Walt and Annette Kowalski, who were living in northern Virginia.
Swinging.
Teaching their own painting classes sounded like a good idea, but getting people to enroll wasn't easy. No one had ever heard of Bob Ross.
We tried to get Bob into a shopping mall and demonstrate, and in turn try to
Wow.
recruit students for the classes that would occur maybe 3 days
Imagine that.
later.
We didn't have much success. Even though we ran expensive newspaper ads and paying Bob a salary and no students.
They thought maybe the classes weren't filling up because people were working during the day. So Bob decided to offer an evening class.
One man came to our evening class. And I said, Bob, we're not going to stay here and teach this one man. And he said, oh, yes. And at the end of the class, the man said, I'm so impressed with you. The idea that Bob would take the time to teach just me to paint. I'd like to make you a proposition. I'm a businessman, which was his way of saying I have a lot of money. I would like to offer you $1 million. And in return, he wants 40% of what we do for the rest
He's right
of
at the
our
beginning.
lives.
They turned down
For the
that
rest of
offer
your
and
lives?
decided to
Jesus,
keep
is that- it was the
pursuing
devil?
on their own.
Nosferatu. Holy shit.
He just appears the only guy in the
I have
class
$1 million. Just one guy.
of your life.
One fucking guy. $1 million.
Well, they turned him down.
40% for the rest of your life, okay?
Give me that sensual
Oh,
voice.
no, that's kind of weird.
Well, they turned it down, and this forged a partnership with Walter, Annette, and their pimp, Bob Ross. So they start to build certain things.
So they kept going because of the thought that somebody was going to offer them $1 million. Okay.
Well, they were already invested. Remember, right after the class, they invited Bob Ross to Wendy's for a cheeseburger
hamburgers.
and was like, yo, Walter was like, listen, you could fuck my wife,
He didn't say that.
but I want 40% of your life.
He didn't say that either.
Yeah,
No.
basically.
No.
I mean, he didn't say it with words, but basically.
I didn't say any of that shit.
Okay, probably not. You're right. This is just in my head. Again, allegedly. So,
Good.
the point is people backed him, right? That even to the point
Yeah. They had
where...
his back because they saw the possibilities.
Yeah, and not just the fact that he is already has the infrastructure, already has the talent, already has a soothing voice, already has that. Like, there's a guy here that wants to offer $1 million like that. I think that definitely sway. So with everything coming to be, whatever, they built this thing basically because they filmed their first special.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and they needed it to get transferred over to like a special format. You know this because you're in TV. Everybody airs their formats differently. Like, so if I have a DVD player, maybe that can't access at the TV station.
Right.
So I need to make it into like a special ADAT or some type of technical
Back
broadcasting
then,
thing they did back in the 80s.
Back then it would have been a lot different.
So they went to a local PBS, and while the PBS was transferring it, they were listening to Bob Ross, and they were blown away
They were
by
like,
the magic.
what?
Like, oh man, this guy's
sounds
voice,
amazing.
amazing. So
Amazing.
they brought him in, and they were like, hey, what about doing a show here? So that's what basically started his TV career.
But did they pay him?
No, you don't get paid for PBS. That's what I'm saying, though. And again, they're copying Bill Alexander's business model, right? We're going to start on public access. We're going to create a dope show. And then we're going to build an audience around the United States. And then we're going to streamline everything into a tour, okay? These tours that we're going to meet, there are going to be classes at these tours where people get to meet and greet. And then they're usually maybe like a Sam Flax, right? Like an art store or like a class type of environment. So he could sell his brushes, his paints, everything.
His wigs.
No wigs. Maybe he had some perm juice. But the thing that
I would have been out there selling wigs.
So here's another crazy thing about Bob Ross. He hated the perm.
Right? We had to keep it though, right?
He had to keep it because it was all over the paint, the paints and the brushes and the kits. They all had the Bob Ross. Like, imagine Bob Ross shows up, you know what I mean, with the haircut from the Army or from the Air Force.
Oh yeah, without it.
You know, would people
That
want?
guy?
You know, would people want a class from this guy? No, you want a class from this guy.
Yeah, I want a class from that guy, right?
But imagine having that hair and then like hating it every day of your life, but you have to keep it.
Well, how often you got to get a perm at that? I don't know how that works.
I mean, it not
The
a lot.
reverse
It's
perm.
low maintenance, and you basically sit under one of those things.
Yeah, but you got to get it like every week or something, right?
Yeah, but it's not as expensive as a haircut. And like I said, it was just already there. I mean, arguably, yeah, it was just
He said
it was
perms is cheaper than a
happenstance.
haircut.
It was happenstance. You know, the crazy thing is that after he died, there's been like a lot of people.
Resurgence.
Right. Well, he was always famous to some regard, right?
Yeah.
But after he died, just like most artists, he really propelled into the next
For sure.
atmosphere. You know, like there was, like they said, there was new millennials and just a new fan base of people. So it wasn't just old ladies now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even to the point where in Chicago now, they have this Bob Ross bar crawl where you have to dress as Bob Ross. So imagine 50 dudes and girls dressed like Bob Ross going from bar to bar in Chicago.
Wow, that'd be trippy.
That's the legacy of this guy.
No, he's definitely inspired a lot of different people to do different things, including T-shirts. I wonder
Hello, I'm
who
Bob
profits
Ross,
off of
and
that.
I'd like
Profits.
to welcome you to the Joy of Painting
Profits
series.
off of all that
Maybe
stuff.
we'll have a beautiful little sky that's just full of warm colors that sort of makes you feel good when you look at it.
I need to get another
You're
shirt
gonna
because
see-
mine got ripped. Like I said, my dog ate mine, so I got to get another one.
You were muttering something over there. I don't know what you were saying.
Huh?
Talk about Bob Ross t-shirt.
No, I got a Bob Ross T-shirt, so I got
Your dog ate.
Yeah. So I got to get another one.
125 different paintings of the same thing. None of them will look alike.
I always heard Michael Jordan talk about getting in the zone, and you can get in the zone while you're painting. I'll be in the zone,
man.
I'll do a painting. When I get done, I'll look back at that bush or look back at that tree and not remember the
What? That's true.
I know, but just
That's the joy of painting when you look back.
Yeah, why is he swimming in this water?
What I like about the Bob Ross
very
reunion
odd.
and the Bob Ross family is that people are...
Yeah, it turns you into a pimp, bro. That's what it does. Yo, this is like a swingers party with paint.
It's a paint party.
I've got paintings all over my house, all over the garage. The guest room closet's full. The walls are full.
I believe that if you do something different, you separate from everybody else. The original painting did not have a mountain in it. I added
Party
a
looks
mountain
terrible.
range. And as far as I know, I'm the only one who put a
It's a
mountain
terrible
range.
party.
About
It's
that
my
range.
world. I can do anything I want with it, and I go do crazy things.
Whoa, what does that mean? What does that mean?
That means laying the pipe down.
I go do crazy things.
Paint and penis party.
It's so crazy, yo. What is this?
Reflections of Cobb. This is the lady.
A lot of
Oh, there
people
she is.
go to painting classes because they have some problem in their life. And Bob seemed to heal that.
And let's have in our world some happy little evergreen trees.
In 1981, my oldest son was killed in an automobile accident, and I was devastated. My husband was worried about me, so he offered for me to take 5 days of classes with this unknown Bob Ross. I actually realized it the first time I saw Bob, and I saw the effect he had on people. His voice. I was mesmerized by Bob, and we started the Bob Ross Company.
Hey, shout out to that girl's husband.
They had it on everything, bro. Everything. You got that fro on everything. Why you gotta cut his face for? I want that. Bob Ross. So this is what I'm saying. This is the type of stuff that this guy was doing, you know, and he's. I would say, would you put Bob Ross up there
Jim.
with like Van Gogh, Picasso, Dali?
I mean, in America, sure. Worldwide, I don't know.
You know, they used to broadcast in Japan, like international. It wasn't. They had like Japanese Bob Ross. Like it was him painting. They would leave the voice in the background because it was so soothing, but it was a Japanese overdub. So I mean, that's.
I don't know. Maybe. He's,
So he
he's
painted-
definitely one of the most well-known artists, I would say, that history is known.
I don't think his painting per se.
No, yeah, him, though.
Reached the paintings because he made 1143, 1,143 paintings. Right.
Okay.
He painted 3 of the same paintings for every episode.
You talking about the he made 1,100 paintings throughout all the seasons
Of the show.
of the show.
There might have been other paintings, but for the specific show,
Right.
there was 1,143 paintings.
Okay.
Right? 1 painting per episode, but there was 3 copies of that 1 painting. The first was the original that would be offset, and he would use that as a guide.
Like a reference what he's doing.
Exactly. It was a reference piece. And then the one that he was actually creating for the show, And then he would make a third one because for every episode there was a book that was produced. So
you made a small one, you saying?
Well, so when the seasons were over, every painting would be in this book, and they would take pictures. So the third piece would be another one he would create for the photos, because it was like a photo option of
how big was that one?
What do you mean?
Well, how big was the third one?
Yeah, they're all the same size. It's the same exact painting. It's just on different mediums. The first one, like I said, is the reference, but they're going to shoot it with a video camera.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third one, they're shooting it with a photography camera. You would think, why not have a photographer and a video camera and just use one piece? But I guess the flash back in the day, for production purposes, it was just easier to make a third one. And then Annette would take all the pictures for the third one.
Oh, nice.
Right? They would hang out,
What?
take pictures. I was just saying they were hanging out. What does that mean? I was just saying they were hanging out. So they would take pictures, and then they created a book. So every season had a book to match the season. And maybe you didn't want to watch it on TV. So across the board, he had so many products to sell.
Yeah, man, he was branded like up the wazoo, right? I mean, he had like
brushes like all types of stuff.
Yeah,
so
tons of shit.
After he died, this is an NPR interview with Annette again. And the reason why I wanted to play this is because all the other interviews before he died, he's like marvelous and an amazing person. But in this interview, she kind of calls him a tyrant.
Nice.
But in a good way, because she says if he wasn't like that, if he wasn't such a methodical person, to be even down to the chemistry of the paint.
Drill sergeant in him or whatever.
Yeah. That's what I was saying earlier, how the military instills these certain qualities in men that you see later on they used to become successful. Because he was instrumental in the paint composition, like the ingredients and the texture of it. And he would be there with the scientists and say, no, that's not the right consistency. I want it like this. And, arguably that's what made it such a good product. You know what I mean?
This message comes from NPR sponsor, NCR. Running a small business is now easier with NCR Silver. More than a point of sale, NCR Silver is simple to use, saves you time, and helps you reach your goals faster. NCR Silver. Search NCR
Great.
Silver.
Thank you, NCR Silver.
The hypnotic
Search.
face, the puffy hair, the beard. Bob Ross passed away more than 20 years ago, but apparently he's as timeless as the happy trees he painted on his PBS show, The Joy of Painting. Time to get out those oil paints. Netflix is streaming episodes, which got our producer Danny Hajek thinking, what's Bob's story?
For most of us, he's just a man in his canvas, wearing a partly unbuttoned chambray shirt and a halo of tight curls. Here he is with his almighty brush, painting mist around a mountain.
I lived in Alaska for many, many years. And you see some of the most beautiful scenery there. God was having a good day when he made Alaska. Beautiful.
These are landscapes out of his imagination.
In your world, you can do anything that you want. If you want this shrubbery and bushes and trees to come all the way across, then do it. Do it.
The way he talked, it felt so personal. And yet, Bob Ross is a mystery. If you want to know about him, you'll have to seek out his business partner, Annette Kowalski. She has all the stories, and she can even tell you about that hair. The story goes that when he moved down from Alaska, he didn't have much.
You see, I know what I'm talking about.
That he could save money on haircuts. So he let his hair grow, he got a perm, and decided he would never need a haircut again.
So you're saying Bob Ross's natural hair was straight?
Oh my goodness, yes. You haven't seen the pictures?
The perm became the company's logo. She says Bob hated it.
He got tired of that curly hair.
Annette welcomed NPR into her home in Herndon, Virginia, surrounded by framed floral paintings on the wall, family portraits, and an instructional book by Bob Ross on the coffee table. She was the one who discovered Bob Ross. It was 35 years ago in the wake of a tragedy.
My oldest son was killed in a traffic accident. It was very difficult. I was so devastated. All I could do was lay on the couch and watch television.
She watched a painter named Bill Alexander. He was big on PBS back then. And Annette's husband, Walter, was so desperate to get her out of the house, he signed her up for a Bill Alexander painting class 900 miles away in Clearwater, Florida. But Bill Alexander wasn't teaching. He passed his paintbrush off to some protege that no one had heard of.
I was very disappointed. I so wanted to paint with Bill Alexander. But my husband said, get up, get in the car, we're going.
Up front of the easel was some guy with a perm who went by Bob. But his painting was pretty good. And then he started talking. And he was comforting, like his forest landscape.
I was so mesmerized by Bob. Somehow he lifted me up out of that depression. I just think that Bob knew how to woo people. I said, let's put it in a bottle and sell it.
The Kowalskis took him to dinner at a fast food joint and brokered a deal right there. Annette became Bob Ross's manager. They packed up the paints, hopped in his motorhome, and hit the road. Annette bought ads in local papers, and Bob held seminars in shopping malls.
Maybe only 1 or 2 people would show up for a class.
The husband came, right? On the trips.
His husband had to stay home and handle the business. That's what Bob told him to go home. Me and Annette hit the road. His camper.
You're just saying that. No.
Annette set up a Bob Ross hotline.
1-800-BOB.
Hotline 1-900 Ross.
Hold up, though. Like the husband went on the trips. Right?
Some trips
with her and Bob Ross.
Nah, they can only fit a king bed for hotel.
Oh, what? I don't.
They're supposed to all share a king bed.
I don't know, bro.
They filmed a commercial, then launched a TV show, and that's when Bob hit the big time.
Hi, I'm Bob Ross, and for the next 13 weeks, I'll be your host as we experience the joy of painting.
This grainy video is the first episode. His hair's not as big, but he's already using those familiar little Bobisms that made him famous.
Let's have a happy little tree right in here. There he goes. Doo-doo, boop, boop, boop.
They aired over 400 episodes of The Joy of Painting, but most viewers weren't tuning in to paint. We were watching Bob Ross to just watch Bob Ross, crisscrossing the canvas to paint a sky, drawing out his palette knife to blend the Prussian.
Fucking stare at the TV for an hour.
Huh? Speak up, Thompson.
That was we stared at the TV for like an hour.
Painting a distant mountain, and then whipping his brush against the easel to clean off the bristles.
Shake off the excess.
Always with that classic catchphrase.
And just beat the devil out of it.
30 minutes later, he had his masterpiece.
Shoot, we have a pretty nice looking little sky. And there was...
Funny story, right? When he used to paint and he used to whip it out and clean the brush, at first the camera guy didn't realize that he was going to get hit. So by like the 3rd episode, the camera guy shows up with like a raincoat, and Bob's like, what's with the raincoat? He's like, I'm not getting painted on this episode, buddy.
So the camera too? Probably.
Maybe. Now then, let's get crazy.
He's making you think it's so easy. Well, let me tell you something. These are not as spontaneous as they look.
In fact, Bob made 3 of the same paintings for every episode. One for a reference, that sat off camera. One during taping, that's what we see. And a more detailed one for his how-to books. The guy was meticulous.
Bob used to lay in bed at
More
night,
detailed.
He told me. He rehearsed every...
She said he told me. She said
good.
he told
She's
me.
good. She's good. I seen you writing up like, what, baby?
Nah, because like for a second it sounded, but then she put, he told me, right? Or she told me.
Exactly what he was going to say.
That's because Walter's in the next room in the interview.
Programs.
If you've painted with me before, you know without question that we don't make mistakes here. We just have happy accidents.
He was just so relaxed.
Happy little
all the time.
accidents.
I asked Annette, what was the real Bob Ross like?
A tyrant. You don't believe that? Do you really think this company would be as successful as it is if he didn't insist that everything be done a certain way? He insisted.
They had a business to look after. He was as much a businessman as he was a painter.
I don't want to leave the impression that he was rude or nasty. He just wanted things done his way. He was wonderful. He was really wonderful. I want Bob
It's
back.
condescending as hell.
After he was diagnosed with lymphoma, the two spent his last days sitting outside the hospital on a park bench by a lake.
And Bob was not always full of compliments, but he said to me, Annette, you are the wind beneath my wings. And that is what I'm left with, and it means so much to me.
Bob Ross died.
Annette, you are the wind beneath my wings.
That doesn't make him a pimp, though.
Yeah, it does.
Nah, maybe they had something going
You're
on.
massaging the mouthpiece to generate the revenue. Prestige, image, money, power. Pimp.
Maybe they had something going on the road. That's
maybe.
crazy that her husband would be like, yeah, that's cool.
Or his wife would be like, remember he had a wife with
I
kids.
gave him $1,000.
So this
What
is,
happened to them?
This is Bob Ross's son, Steve Ross.
Steve Ross.
Steve Ross also has sexual innuendo in his painting.
Steve's been painting since he was about 12 years old, and I think you'll find he's absolutely fantastic. Steve, welcome to the show today.
Thanks, Dan.
Tell you what, I'm going to turn it over to Steve, and I'll see you later. Son, do a nice painting for everyone.
Okay. Pound it into that brush real good. Get tough with it right from the beginning.
Get tough with it right from the
Make
beginning.
some sort of cloudy shapes up here to start with.
It's like a penis.
Be real rough on it.
You're real
When
rough
doing
on
a large painting like this, it's a really good idea to have a sturdy easel like this one. And down in the liquid white and work your way up. Push nice and hard.
I'm never going to
You know
look
if
at
your
these
wrist
the
is
same
wore
again,
out by the
dude.
time you get done doing this, you did something right.
Yo,
I'm never going to look at these the same way again.
It's so sexual.
You got to be rough with it right from the beginning.
So let me ask you something.
Tumblr sucks sex god.
Annette and Walter put up money. Annette put her vagina and her mouth on the table. They put a lot of time spent working.
It's not true.
You think that they're... No, it's not true. You know I'm fucking around. It's a fucking podcast. But do you think that they're entitled to most of Bob Ross's fortune left over? Or do you think it should go to his children's?
Whoever Bob said it should go to. Who'd Bob say it should go to?
See, the funny thing is I don't think there was a Bob Will for some reason. Annette runs the company, right? But there's a current lawsuit that Bob had 3 or 4 kids. And there's another Bob Ross.
All
Bob
from the
Jr.
same women?
I think so. Bob basically, he had them all with Jane, which was his wife. They gave him $1,000 to hit the road and follow his dream. Pimp these bitches with this paint. And so the young Bob Ross and Bob Ross's brother apparently are suing Annette and the estate because they want more control. And apparently, according to them, they're not getting any money.
Because he's still making money.
Is what?
Because he's still making money.
Who's still making money?
Bob Ross.
The Bob Ross estate is making money.
Yeah.
Right. And he feels like
Today.
he's not getting anything
Right.
out of it. And basically, Annette.
How successful are they? Like, right? Do you know what their annual revenue
Bob Ross' son
is?
files happy little lawsuit over painter's merchandise. Legendary painter Bob Ross raked in cash with his art empire, but his son claims he was left out to dry after the painter's merchandise continued making money following his death, and now he's filed a lawsuit. Robert Ross says after his father died in 1995, he and his uncle were granted all the rights to Ross' name, likeness, and right of publicity. His uncle recently transferred his interest to Robert, who now owns 100% of Ross Image. Robert claims the company his dad started, Bob Ross Incorporated, continues to make money using the painter's image and likeness, and is currently selling all types of Ross merch, including clothes, costumes, games, toy figures, underwear, soap, sticky notes, puzzles,
Bob Ross
chia pets,
underwear.
and coloring books. He also says the recent streaming success of Ross The Joy of Painting series on Netflix and Twitch has created a renewed interest in the painter. Robert says all products and deals made with Ross Image which he hasn't seen any money for are unauthorized and wants them shut down immediately. He wants a full audit of all profits made using Ross Image, and to be paid out for the mistake. As the legend himself would have said, there are no mistakes, just happy accidents. From theblast.com.
So Bob Ross had 3 wives.
See, that said he's born and raised in Orlando?
Yeah, he also died real close. In Goth, Florida, he's buried.
Wow.
Gotha, Florida, I'm sorry. So, Bob Ross was married 3 times. He was married to Vivian from 65 to 77, and then he married Jane. Jane was the lady that he married in Alaska and basically told him to hit the road. He divorced Jane in 1992, remarried Linda in 1990. Oh, they were. I guess she got with him while he had the cancer because they were together less than a year.
Wow.
Yeah, he caught lymphoma twice. He beat it the first time, and then the second time, fortunately, he passed away.
Probably didn't go away the first time.
Maybe, yeah.
That's
It was
the blood one, right?
Yeah, it came back. My whole thing is that. So is it right that Annette and her husband get to control? I mean, they basically built. If it wasn't for them, would Bob Ross be Bob Ross?
If it wasn't, Bob Ross would still be Bob Ross.
I mean, as far as would
Exposure?
Bob Ross's name, would he be a painter? Would he be the painter that we all respect? Would he even be on TV? Because before, remember, he was just a retired military guy that was working for Bill Alexander.
Yeah, what did they do for him?
They brought him in. They made a partnership with him and basically backed him financially.
Brought him into what?
A business.
What was the business they brought him into?
To do the same thing that Bill Alexander's doing under the name Bob Ross. So basically get him on TV and then
they had the money for him.
Yeah, they put up all
that's
the money.
what they put the money up.
Yeah, and then not just the money, the time. Remember, she was riding around the Winnebago with this guy from city to city.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and time. But what I'm getting at is even if who's to say it wouldn't have happened with some other amount of money from somewhere else?
Yeah, but you can't do that.
You can. You can.
No, because he didn't get the idea to start his own business until they came along. According to historical context, he was working for Bill Alexander. That's all he wanted to do.
I'm not saying that they don't deserve any money or anything because of that. I'm just saying you can't say Bob Ross. You can't say if I hadn't done this, you would never in life be able to do this without me or whatever.
Let me put it in this context, right? Even Bill Alexander didn't look at him as competition until he started working with Annette. Bill and Bob had a great relationship, but when he left the Alexander Painting Magic organization and started his own thing, that's when Bill started to be like, "Oh, this guy's stealing from me. He's taking my same thing." You know,
which he was, but he fathered his style. So,
but what my point in saying that is that if it wasn't for Annette and Walter, there would be no Bob Ross empire. They sparked.
Yeah,
he would because maybe in some respect Bob was just a soldier minded. You know?
No,
what I mean?
they just happened to be the spark. But it doesn't mean that there wouldn't have been a sparks from somewhere else.
So going on that argument, maybe they don't deserve anything in the.
No, that's not true either. Like to your point, they put in the work. She put in the work. She actually did that. All I'm saying is, don't say, "No, I'm Bob Ross." Don't say I wouldn't have been me if it wasn't for you.
But that's what the kids are arguing to try to get control of the estate. Is that, oh, thank you for helping my dad out, but my dad is really the power player here.
And I don't think that's right either. I think they put in the work, so they deserve a cut, but
like 50-50?
Whatever it is, I don't know that part, but I'm saying that both have entitlement to some portion of that. You know what I mean? Because being from the family, you deserve some. Putting in the work and being a person, you deserve some. But don't say Bob Ross wouldn't have been Bob Ross just because you put up money and time. You know, anybody could have put up some money and time. Maybe not anybody, but a lot of people would put up his money and time. But thank you, since you did.
What about the idea, giving him the idea of, hey, you could do this on your own?
He is his sensei did it before him, and he followed it. Of course, he was thinking that.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, bro.
No, because if that's true, there was a lot of instructors under Bill, and Bob Ross started his own school, and there's thousands of Bob Ross instructors. How come they didn't pave a way for themselves?
Because they didn't have the voice.
You beat me on that one.
They had the natural just inclination to win, you know, and then people kept telling them that. And you got a bigger head, you know, because you got the fro. And then,
I mean, there was that one guy that came in at the beginning and wanted 40%.
Who? Nosferatu?
The devil, man.
Yeah.
It's a crazy story. That's what shows you as you're blowing up, you got to definitely Well, you gotta believe in yourself, man. You gotta
Confidence is
control
key.
that, and
Confidence
man.
is key at every stretch, every
It
stage.
sucks
of the
that
game.
your family's got to battle over that shit at the end, though.
That's why you got to have your affairs in order, right?
I mean,
so that nobody has to.
He's got.
He had an empire. He left the empire.
4 children.
You know,
Morgan Ross, Stephen Ross, and Bob Ross.
Oh man, what's up with Bob Ross Jr.?
That's the one that is putting the lawsuit in.
What does he do?
Nothing. That I know.
He does something.
I mean, something, but nothing.
He just sits in the house and looks at the wall, waiting for his check. Waiting for the phone to ring and get his check. Hello?
Allegedly.
All right. Nah.
What a life, though. So you don't think Bob Ross was secretly a pimp?
No, man. I don't think so.
I think he used a lot of pimp intellect.
I think I'm going to have to go back over a lot of the...
Let's break it down. What does a pimp do? He talks. He convinces people to give them money. Right? It's all about game.
Well,
and sometimes there's sex involved.
A lot every time.
No. That's what you think. A lot of times, if the girl is really good and trained properly by the pimp, she can work a job just to give for time and company. And not get... The real bitches, that's what they do.
Nah.
Yeah.
But I'm here to have sex. That's why I paid you the money.
Yeah, but sometimes that's not all men. Like some men just want to be next to a hot
but you
chick.
get what you want. You get what you want.
So if you're a good enough prostitute, you know
get
how
them to
to
want.
You got you know like RoboCop, how he had those glasses and he
Yeah,
like "Do-do-do-do-do-do." That's what bitches have when they're wearing
Again,
them
I
sunglasses.
don't know if
they're
you
in
call
that
them
Vegas
bitches.
lobby like "Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do." trick.
So you're talking about like working women,
prostitutes, sex, vagina selling, mouth,
bitches is
mouth
problematic.
and ass panhandling.
Even that just somehow seems better than bitches. Ass and mouth panhandling.
Bitches call themselves bitches.
Yeah, but you still probably
No. It's like it's a female dog is a bitch, right?
Yep.
Well, prostitutes like to be called bitches. Their pimps call them bitch. Hey, bitch, come here. Yes, daddy. That's their name. I know it sounds degrading, but that's their title.
Well, it's not that it sounds degrading.
See, that's why you can't call a flight attendant a stewardess anymore, bro.
It's not that it's.
And we gotta stop this shit. You're a stewardess. All right? It doesn't matter if I call you a flight attendant or stewardess.
Is there a T at the end of that?
Stewardess, social worker.
It's not that it sounds degrading. It's not the problem, right? I think the issue is that it is degrading. It's that.
No, they like to be called bitches.
Well, okay, but that doesn't make it good or
That's
proper.
That's perception, bro.
That's very true. That's very true. I agree with that. That's the way most of society thinks. Is what it is. It's the norm.
If you see a scantily clad girl walking down Vegas, don't be afraid to say, "Hey, bitch."
It's on the bottom of the list. I think of something I'm gonna be yelling if I saw that.
Yeah, but
I
I'm
probably
just
wouldn't be
saying.
yelling at all. I'd just be like, "Hey, look at that outfit."
Like, "Hey, bitch."
She looks nice.
Oh, you're right. Like the Bob Ross book. Sup, bitch?
She'd be like, "That's a nice outfit."
You want to go chill by the Vegas sunset?
Nah, I probably wouldn't even approach her.
The mountains.
Never
I
works.
can't even do that voice if I tried.
Never was. I'm very good at it. I have a general low tone to begin with. You know what I mean? Frequency low.
Well, that's it, Thompson.
All right.
That is it. My name is Phraydoe Peans. This is the layman according to Kimberly Thompson.
I feel like that's like a running joke.
Listen, join in on the conversation. Please like, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell their parents and their mom's, dad's, grandmother to join in on the conversation. It is Fresh Produce Florida Media at Gmail. Email us, comment on Instagram, comment on YouTube, and please let us know if you like our beautiful faces.
Yeah, I appreciate the feedback we've been getting so far, even the negative feedback. It's been fun to interact with people. And
I got my head out of my ass. I practiced and I got my head
Did
out
you
of
get
my
it out?
ass. Yeah.
Nice.
And, just like Bob Ross says, even though your parents tell you you're a mistake, You're not a mistake. You're a happy accident.
He just said the last part. He didn't say the things about parents being mistakes and all that. That's extra stuff you put in there.
What?
It's extra stuff you put in there.
If you're an accident, don't look at yourself being an accident. You're a happy mistake.
Bob Ross didn't say anything about parents, is what I'm saying.
How do you know? You don't think that was a joke amongst his homies?
No. I don't think so. But I don't know. It's true. All right.
Peace and love, y'all.
Cheerio.
Gang signs.
Cheerio.